let's start with the world title scene, in which we were continuing the where last month left off, building to a world title match between the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, and the phenomenal AJ Styles.
And honestly, a match that I'm glad happened just for historical value.
Yeah, it's one of those cool TNA things where it's just like you're going through the TNA history, like looking at the matches that happen on these shows, and you're like, oh shit, an AJ Styles Dusty Rhodes world title match?
Yeah, like, never watch it, but just be glad that it happened.
So NWA-TNA pay-per-view number 64 is built around AJ Styles and Vince Russo facing Jeff Jarrett and Dusty Rhodes in the main event. That's October 1st, 2003. There's a show-running angle where Russo doesn't want the match to happen, so he's like talking to Jeff Jarrett. He's trying to talk Jeff Jarrett out of doing the match. He's trying to make his one final plea to his friend Jeff Jarrett after this year.
I was going to say, this was a big return to, like, the sexual chemistry of these two performers. Every time they're together, you just kiss.
But Jeff keeps turning him down, Liam.
I know, that's why they're star-crossed lovers. It'll never happen. And it's their own prejudices that are stopping them from experiencing true love. Bringing it back. It's a sad story. You just wish they could get on the same page.
Sure do. So...
Imagine a heel stable that Jeff and Russo are both in.
No, I don't want to.
That's the dream.
I don't even want to think about it. I don't even want to have that
Jeff
thought process.
Gilberti Russo.
No. I guess Siaki would have to be there because he's in all of their stables, just hanging around.
Yeah, but like barely a part of it.
Trinity's there too, I guess.
Sure.
So yeah, we had the show running angle on October 1st where Russo told AJ, this match isn't going to happen. I'm gonna make amends with Jarrett finally. And then he tries to make amends with Jarrett, and Jarrett's like, just go fuck yourself.
Jarrett's like, no. What the fuck?
We have literally been at each other's throats for a full calendar year now. So, no.
I like that Russo was like, he was confident that this would be the time it would work.
Yeah.
He's like, I believe that we can get this done. Like, you know, we've done all this stuff, but this is the time I can get through to him.
But he did not. He failed.
It's a shame.
Which brings us to our main event of that show. Jeff Jarrett and Dusty Rhodes faced Vince Russo and AJ Styles.
Listen, I know I wrote notes.
Mm-hmm.
I did not write any notes for this match.
Dusty did a brainbuster in this match, Liam.
Yeah, not intentionally.
He still did a brainbuster.
That's fair. That is fair.
He very much did take AJ up for a delayed vertical suplex and then brought him down into a brainbuster kind of by accident, but he still did a brainbuster.
To me, the match was kind of nothing. The Styles got his ass slapped again. That was fun.
Yeah, like the story of the match is like continuing to build tension between Jarrett and Dusty. So Jarrett hits the top rope stroke, Dusty spanks AJ's butt and pins him, and they're all happy. Jarrett's not mad that he stole the pin. But then after the match, AJ's like all flustered and mad, and he's like, I'll give you any match you want. Do you want a Texas bullwhip match?
A Texas
a Texas pig eating contest?
I do want that, by the way.
It's very fun. I love that promo just because AJ very clearly couldn't think of anything Texas related.
Like, so much of this show is written. Did they not write Styles promos for him?
So he's like trying to improvise some kind of Texas related stipulation, but he cannot think of any. So he like blusters and flusters and mumbles for a little bit and then comes out with like a bullwhip match and a pig eating match.
Well, lucky he doesn't say anything else. Knowing AJ's history with getting flustered and shouting things.
He did not shout any slurs. That's good.
This is kind of evident of like the whole story this whole month, which is like AJ and Russo splitting up and Jarrett and Dusty splitting up, both at the same time. Because afterwards, we get I thought it was the thing that saved that AJ promo was when he slapped the taste out of Russo's mouth.
Yeah, because he's offering Dusty any match he wants, and Russo's like, no, don't do it, because the same thing happened the last show of last month, where AJ's like, I want to face Dusty, and Russo talked him out of it. He talked him down that time.
Talked him into the tag match.
Yeah, so this time, Russo's like, oh, he's trying to talk him down again, but AJ's like, no, I'm my own man, you don't tell me what to do, and he slaps Vince Russo, and Russo's like,
I like this, like, little bit of an unhinged AJ here. I thought it was really good.
All you have to do, Liam, is spank his bottom, and he will go mental.
I'm sure that is true.
Give AJ a little spanky poo, maybe with horsey poo. Add horsey poo, spank his bottom with horsey poo.
He would not have got the points for that though, because he would not have liked it.
No, he would have lost points in the Duff Cup. He would have not enjoyed horsey poo. So yeah, AJ's all flustered and fired up saying, Dusty, you can have any match you want. And Dusty's like, any match you say? Oh, I could have a Texas Bull Rope match. I could have a Bunkhouse Brawl. Or, perhaps, I could have an NWA World Heavyweight title match.
Yeah, it's a good shout there. It's like, you offered me any match. Yeah, all right, I'll take a title match.
So Styles is like, you're on, let's do it. And then Jeff Jarrett is pissed because earlier in this show it was announced that Jeff Jarrett would face AJ Styles for the world title on the October 22nd pay-per-view. So Jarrett has his title shot, and he is not pleased, Liam, that Dusty Rhodes is jumping the line and getting a title shot before him.
I'd be pretty pleased. I'm like, either Dusty's gonna like weaken up AJ, or I'm gonna fight Dusty.
And would you think you'd have a better chance against Dusty, Liam?
I think I would have a better chance against Dusty, yes.
Over AJ Styles?
Andrew probably fuck me up.
You could probably just smack AJ's bottom and then he'll lose his cool and then you could beat him.
Oh, I would love to have, like, to stand and throw hands with Dusty Rhodes in my life. Even if I got the shit, like fucking kicked out of me at the same time, I would have been like, yeah, let's go. I'm into this.
That would be very much one you would do just to have the story.
Yeah, I'd be smiling the whole time.
Just getting your ass kicked by the American Dream, baby. As he's cutting a promo on you as he's kicking your ass.
Oh, that's the dream. I don't care. Like, he can hit me with, like, shoot punches and then hit a worked elbow and I'll still bump.
So that sets up AJ Styles against the American Dream Dusty Rhodes for NWA-TNA pay-per-view number 65, October 8th. Jeff Jarrett opens that show coming out and he talks about how Dusty is selfish. Dusty's out for himself. Dusty is jumping the line. He's a typical icon, just like Savage and Hogan and Piper and all these people who he name drops multiple times this month, I think, just to get Hogan's name in there in a way that seems moderately organic as opposed to just mentioning Hogan for no reason whatsoever. And Dusty comes out and he stands on the ramp and he's like, no, you can't talk. I'm not letting you respond to me. I have things to say.
I loved this, actually. And every time Dusty would go to say something, he'd cut him off with it. And it was so good. And then Dusty just, like, didn't even get a word in and, like, Jarrett leaves. And Dusty just looks, like, despondent from it.
Yeah, he's like, well, I'm not even going to say anything because the segment just ends. Like, as you mentioned, Jarrett's like, the best thing I can do tonight is leave the building. So, and I will face, whether it's you or AJ that walks out of that match, I'll see you on October 22nd, but I'm out of here. And yeah, Dusty just kind of stands there kind of flabbergasted. He's shell-shocked.
This is a good angle. Just an interesting note from me watching this show. Interesting choice to seemingly have Jarrett and Styles double turn ahead of their title match. Oh, Liam of a week ago, you hardly knew.
I wonder why they suddenly put that into movement.
But yeah, I really liked this segment. I thought this segment was really good. It's funny, like, there's a lot of cool segments on these shows, but the wrestling just really let it down.
So today has a sit-down interview with Dusty where they talk about his history with the NWA title and how that title means so much to him. And it's just your standard Dusty Rhodes promo where he's like, oh, this is the history and tradition is so important to me. And it works every time because he's Dusty Rhodes.
I could listen to Dusty talk about the territories all day.
He's like the opposite of Piper in that even when Dusty talks about nothing, he's interesting, whereas Piper always talks about nothing and he's not interesting at all.
But you know what it is? He adds like this gravitas to history, and it makes you feel like how important it was. It's really brilliant. If there was a podcast back in the day where Dusty and Rob Naylor were just talking about territories, I tell you what, I would have slapped down. I would have paid the Patreon money for that.
Because, yeah, Dusty's talking about how important it was to him, that he won the belt that Jack Briscoe or Lou Thesz had, and how that established him in wrestling, and now this, you know, he maybe has one more last run in him. Maybe AJ's taking him a little lightly. And I do love how he turns it around on Jarrett. It's like, if the positions were reversed last week and I had the world title match on October 22nd and Jarrett had a chance to take a title match on the 8th, he'd take it every day of the week. And he's like, yes, you're right, he would.
And I like how in this promo he's like, maybe I am a little selfish. Maybe I am a little cocky. He's like, you know what? Yeah, I'm allowed to be, bitch. I'm Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah, he's like, I'm the American Dream. I can do whatever the hell I want.
And it's like, you know what? Yeah, you're right. You can.
You are the American Dream. There was a slightly more unfortunate show running angle through this one, which was Vince Russo.
Listen, I thought it was good.
So Russo is not there at the start of the show. Styles is worried. He's there backstage with Siaki, Trinity, and ECMO, and they can't get in touch with Russo. And Trinity's like, oh no, he's going to come, it's fine. And then later in the show, right before the world title match, a drunk Vince Russo arrives.
Yeah. And a drunk Vince Russo arrives looking exactly like me.
Oh, that's how you look all the time?
Just hair everywhere, beanie half on, jacket half on. Just straight up Liam fit right here.
He's like, hey Jay, don't you worry, bro. Everything's gonna be. He's Rick from Rick and Morty.
No, he's Morty from Rick and Morty.
He's both. He's Rick and Morty combined into one.
Yeah, Rick Vince Russo talking to Morty AJ Styles about wrestling Dusty Rhodes.
So yeah, he shows up drunk and he's at ringside drunk. for the world title match between the phenomenal AJ Styles and the American Dream Dusty Rhodes for the NWA World Title, in which Styles retains after Dusty Rhodes passed out in the figure 4 and AJ beat him by pinfall.
Dusty bleeds like a maniac in this. It looks like he's been shot in the goddamn eye at one point.
This like the crowds are pretty dead for all of October. Like for a crowd that was actually pretty hot for a few months there, they completely lose interest in TNA this month. And this is the match where I'm most sad like the crowd weren't into it. Like cuz like a big match where Dusty's in the world title match and the crowd are living and dying on Dusty. And I think there's two things that maybe distract from them being invested in Dusty, and that is...
Well, there's one big thing that distracts them.
The first is the fact that Jarrett is getting the title match October 22nd, so most people probably don't think Dusty is winning.
Yeah, I think going into this, not many people thought Dusty had a chance here. But, like, I guess that's what the opening segment at the start of the show was meant to be. It was like, if it is Dusty Jarrett, like, at least there'll be something to it.
And then the other thing, of course, is Vince Russo playing drunk at ringside, just taking all of the steam away from the match. It's all about Vinny Roo.
I remember being so worried that Vince Russo was going to ruin this by making it all about him.
He did.
They kept like cutting back to Russo, like very early on in the match, and I'm just like, stop it! I'm trying to watch Dusty Rhodes and AJ Styles.
It actually made me mad. That like you have Dusty Rhodes against AJ Styles, like. I think calling it a dream match is probably a step too far because of this isn't Dusty in his prime, but it's like a really cool intergenerational match, and you decide to make this whole goddamn match between one of the best up and coming wrestlers in wrestling in 2003 against one of the most iconic wrestlers in the history of wrestling. You decide to make the whole thing about drunk Vince Russo. Like, the only person who can make that choice is Vince Russo. I can't imagine, like, everybody in that building, everyone else in this company is like, yes, this is what this match should be about. It should be about Vince Russo spiraling out of control instead of a really cool intergenerational world title match as two generations collide, and we have this cool moment for Dusty challenging for the NWA title. And, like, Dusty comes out in his... fair enough, he did it the week before as well, but it's cooler here for the title match, where he comes out in his trunks and the boots, and he's in his old school wrestling gear, and he looks like the Dusty Rhodes of old, and he actually shows up for this match, and they make it about Vince goddamn Russo.
There was a very funny moment to me in this match where they were brawling out on the outside, and Dusty like laid AJ out and then just sat down for a straight minute. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, take a fucking breath, son.
Because he's already bleeding at that stage and they're brawling into the crowd, and he's just like, I'm just going to chill out here for a minute.
You know what this had the energy of? Vince Russo showing up drunk to his son's recital. He's like, you got this, man. I'm so happy for you. But like, to go back to the earlier points about the booking and stuff, it's like, do you really think Dutch Mantell was like, you know what, we gotta get this Dusty Rhodes AJ Styles match and make it all about Vince Russo?
No, I don't think he would have. Do you think Jarrett or D'Amore or... like, the only person making this about Vince Russo could possibly come from is Vince Russo.
Glenn Gilberti.
Disco and Vince Russo.
Yeah. There was one drunk Russo spot in here that I really liked. And it was a really great spot where Russo goes to help Styles leverage the figure 4, but falls down like a drunk asshole. So AJ just does it himself and wins without Russo's help.
Yeah.
I like... AJ still won as a heel, but he did it with his own heel shit and didn't rely on his dad.
Yeah, Dusty did get a visual submission over AJ in the figure 4, but the ref was distracted.
Yeah, all in all, I didn't like hate this match, but I didn't love it either.
I did like Mike Tenay and Don West were very good. I did enjoy Mike Tenay explaining the history of Dusty's figure 4 and how that like these are the big matches he's won with the figure 4, and this is why this is a big move, and he's locked it in, and he's gonna beat AJ with the move. It really does help when you have somebody like Tenay who legitimately knows wrestling history. He doesn't have to fake it. He doesn't have to like recite a Wikipedia page like I think you see a lot of announcers do. It's like, oh, I read these facts off Wikipedia. Whereas like Mike Tenay like lives pro wrestling history. So when he gets somebody like Dusty in there in this kind of match, he can really add to the call with adding the historical context of Dusty challenging for this belt and the moves he uses. And I think that's really neat.